Assalamu alaikum and welcome to our special transmission on the current conflict between Israel and Iran. Of course, we've also seen Iran's retaliation, Operation 2 Promise 3. We'll be talking about the ramifications of this escalating situation as we see happening at this time, and what are the ramifications of this new development, the kind of reactions that we've seen all over the world. What do we expect from here on in as far as the region is concerned, as far as the world is concerned. Please stay with us. I have with me Dr. Jameel Ahmed Khan, who is a former ambassador, Dr. Amna Mahmood, a foreign affairs expert, Dr. Waqas Ali Kausar, who is an IR expert, and Daniel Sheikh, who's a senior analyst. Thank you for being with us today. I'm going to go to Jameel Saab and then we'll come to the studio. Dr. Jameel, overall, of course, you know, we've seen the strike by Iran now, the retaliatory strike, and we also know that, you know, this True Promise 3, as it's called, they've claimed to hit 3 Israeli air bases. And of course, they've targeted military industrial sites. How do you look at this conflict at this time? Do you think that, of course, you know, it's an escalating one, and you know, for this kind of a swift reaction that we've seen from the Iranian side, you know, what are your thoughts on that?
Indeed, it's an escalating side. And secondly, the world, and in particular, the United States and the Israel, they were not expecting that Iran has the capacity and capability, A, to penetrate into their Iron Dome, and B, to hit the pinpointed targets, as you were mentioning, the airports. Not only that, but reportedly, the army headquarters of Israel in Tel Aviv has also been engaged and has also been attacked. The nuclear research center in Tel Aviv that has also been engaged, attacked, and the testimony of what was going on during the preceding night and what is going on during the day once the attack and counterattacks are being launched. Ambassador of US in Tel Aviv, what he reported that, you know, the night was very tough for him because every now and then there were sirens and they had to really go to the bunker and there were strikes of the missiles. So one thing is now is proven, and that proves the theory of political science, that in the world, it's only the power balance which can deter another state the attacking you, or in another state harming you. And Iran, probably Israel thought that the axis of resistance is gone. Probably Israel thought that Iran has gone now quite weak. They thought probably Hezbollah, as in their view, has almost been eliminated. Hamas has always been, you know, neutralized, and Syria now is a favorable government, and all the proxies from Syria is also gone, which means that Iran was deprived of all its contacts, connections, and proxies in view of the Israel and perhaps the US as well. But Iran has proved that they still have the strength. And by the way, Iran do have a support, if not overt, then they have a covert support, because Iran
I
has
want to talk about this,
agreement.
Ambassador. I want to talk about this. I want to talk about what kind of a support base does Iran have at this time. And let me come back to you on that. Let me go to Dr. Amna Mahmood. Dr. Amna, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Dr. Amna, something that Dr. Jameel Ahmed Khan said is interesting. He said that, you know, do you think underestimation by Israel, do you think it was a factor? You know, with the kind of swift reaction that came, because a lot of analysts still yesterday, before this happened, were also talking about how, you know, it would probably take time for Iran to respond. Of course, you know, and there is an element of surprise, would you say, in this?
Yeah, I think that Dr. Jamil is very right in pointing out the magnitude of the response was not expected by the Israeli and U.S. authorities. Because there are a number of reasons for that. The immediate reason is that they have actually neutralize all their military command. And the next level military command would take some time to settle down, and they were not expecting that the new military command would take such a drastic action immediately. Secondly, since Iran is having all its resources, all its arsenal that is either indigenous or supplied by some of the powers which are not in their, which were beyond their expectation, like China and Russia. They never thought that they have been empowering Iran to the extent that they can provide them weapons. So when you don't know that what is your enemy is actually having, that is a point of ignorance, and that would not help you to judge the response. So immediate response and the magnitude of that, despite a lot of resistance and support by the regional powers of Gulf and regional countries who are mostly the American allies, despite all that, the magnitude on which the Tel Aviv was hit, I think that it was very drastic for Israel.
Right, fair enough. Let me come back to you, Daniel. We, in a sense, of course, it's also the element of surprise is there in this attack by Iran, and also, the fact that, of course, Israel seems to have underestimated. But in terms of escalation, what do you see happening now? Because, of course, for Israel to undertake this kind of a strike, they wouldn't know that at one time Iran would have reacted. It's very quick. Regardless of that, what do you expect now?
See, to predict the future, a very similar situation recently we saw in Pakistan, India, the war escalation after the Pahalgam incident. It's a very similar situation. See, Netanyahu and Narendra Modi, one thing they have in common, they both seem like they're suffering from a narcissist mentality, and I don't see any empathy coming from either of them. So the only way, or the only way forward in dealing with such a person in such a powerful position and being a narcissist is by force. You cannot back down. So Iran has no choice but to hit back the way we had no choice, although we tried to, when we were being blamed, we tried our best to resolve it diplomatically. We showed utmost restraint, but we had no choice. We had to go in with full force to defend ourselves. Similarly, for Iran, the space is very little. If they don't stop this now, it's going to continue to escalate. Now that they have responded, and they have responded in a very timely manner, and they have shown their resolve to fight back, I personally think that situation is going to start de-escalating. But having said that, the way we have to be very proactive, see, the whole situation, even the technology that India was using in the war weapons, most of it was Israeli technology. So it's the same agenda, it's the same. And now if we go back in history, when Pakistan got its independence, the first country to recognize Pakistan as a sovereign state was Iran. After that, we enjoyed very good diplomatic relationships with each other. In the 65 war, they stood with us, they supported us. In the 71 war, they supported us. So having said that, the whole and then being part of the Ummat-e-Muslima, we have to raise our voice. As far as the whole escalation is concerned, I personally think now Israel is going to they're going to adopt the same way forward that which India did.
Let's talk. Let me take Jameel Saab's opinion on that. Dr. Jameel, I think what Daniel is saying is that, of course, for Pakistan it was escalate to de-escalate, and we saw more or less, that is what happened. Do you see that happening in Iran and Israel's case also?
No, but in Pakistan case, Pakistan did prove that Pakistan has the capability to respond it, and responded properly, and responded very hardly. Now, Iran has done it to some extent, but since the retaliatory strikes from Israel, it's continuing. Basically, Iran started with a very diplomatic pathway that Iran said that it's our right under the article of Charter, United Nations Charter 51. And Israel also said, and which is absolutely accepted, there is no criticism on Israel either during the Security Council session, the preceding night, or by any other community of the world community. There was no criticism. Israel exercised its right under Article 51, and Israel also made the world cognizant that, rather, Iran made the world cognizant that Israel has violated Article 2 of the United Nations Charter. And then they announced that they have the right to really respond. People were expecting that, like last time, what had happened on the 19th of April 2024, that Israel had taken about 11 days, 10 to 11 days to respond to Israel. Iran had taken about 11, 12 days to respond to Israel against its attack on the consulate which was located in Syria at that time. So this time also, the world thought, and the United States also thought, that they will have sufficient time to really ask certain countries of Middle East and other countries to really try to convince Iran that they should give it up, that strike, and do not respond to it. Last time, once Iran had informed it. They had used the diplomatic channels that they are going to strike. They are going to strike on such and spots there in Israel, and they did that. Now,
on that note, Ambassador, we'll come back. We're going to go to breaking news. I think the Prime Minister is talking, and we'll be going to that. And after that, we'll come back to talk more about after a short break. Welcome back. We've been talking about, of course, Iran and Israel conflict, and of course the retaliatory strike by Iran, and the Prime Minister and his comments, just now that we saw overall. Jameel Saab, we know what Pakistan is saying, essentially the way, and the Prime Minister also said this, the way that this conflict is spreading, the way Israel is acting under, Netanyahu. How do you see, I mean, of course, we are looking at this escalating, but in terms of for Israel to step back, do you think there's a chance, in the light of the recent comments by the President of the US, which seem to indicate quite the contrary?
Well, Israel would still try to really flex its muscles, because that's what they've been doing it, right, from the very inception of the country. They went into the war with Egypt. They went, first of all, to start with, they captured about 554 places and cities, small and cities and towns of Palestine. They demolished it, and they settled their people. And then that means they occupied that land of Palestine. Now they are aiming at Gaza, which they had almost probably they were through with it, unless this resistance was really given to them by Israel, which they were not expecting. Now, what Pakistan definitely, what Prime Minister has made this statement, and even the Senate resolution, that's the testimony of the feelings of people of Pakistan. And our Prime Minister or our Foreign Minister, they have to really reflect that. They know if they don't reflect that, or any other country for that matter, if they don't really be cognizant of the feelings of the people, the masses, then there would be a pressure, there would be a bottoms-up pressure. And that's what that's why you are not saying that even those countries who were about to join Abraham Accord are those countries who have already joined Abraham Accord. And they were busy and even motivating other countries, the OIC members, to really consider becoming the members, becoming or accepting the Abraham Accord. So now even they are condemning it, and they are condemning it. They are reflecting. They know if they don't do it, then their bottoms-up pressure of their own people would so much that they would not be able to sustain it. Egypt has entered had entered into the agreement after 1967, and therefore Egypt cannot really attack as per that agreement. But what I'm expect not only Egypt but all the sleeping cells and the proxies of Iran, they were almost, I would say, neutralized. But the ideology is never, a big.
Come back to you. On that note, let me go to Dr. Amna. Dr. Amna, what about what Donald Trump said in light of the President of the United States comments? And what is being said about the role of the US and the support base of Israel. How do you see the situation as it sort of, in the next couple of weeks?
Maruk, I think President Trump's response was immediately clear after the statement of Secretary of State that it was a unilateral action by Israel, and as they claimed that it was a preemptive action. But Mr. Trump clearly said that we will defend Israel. It means that America is standing behind Israel, and as we were discussing in studios that
Dr. Amna, he also said that he also said that we knew about it,
yes,
and I tried, and that he tried for there to be, some kind of a deal. So
I think that if he did not state, even then everybody knows that Israel cannot take such a great action, such a daring action without the consent of United States. In fact, the United States, I think, gave a go-ahead to Israel because they were disappointed by the pace of the talks they were conducting with Iran, and they were suspecting that Iran is lingering it on because they want to go nuclear. So that's why they gave go-ahead signal to Israel. Now, the action in UN depends on how successfully Iran counter this attack. If Israel is going to be in trouble, they have to face more and more damages despite all the proxies of United States and all the soldiers present in Gulf region. Israel is going to suffer, then there would be ceasefire by the UN, and if Iran is going to suffer, then this conflict would escalate, what I perceive.
Dr. Amna, we also saw the Prime Minister's telephonic conversation with the President of Iran. And of course, we of course stand with Iran in this unilateral action that came from Israel. In terms of our relationship with Iran, in terms of the region overall, how do you see, and the statements that have come in, do you see Iran having a strong support base?
Yes, I think that at this time Iran needs our support, and we are standing on it. And Prime Minister, and before that the Deputy Prime Minister, and then before the resolution in the Senate that states the nation of Pakistan is standing with Iran. I think that it is the need of the time because, since we know that there is a nexus of India and Israel, and Pakistan's very befitted answer to India, that deter India to escalate the war, and they beg to United States to end it up. But that is not the case with Iran. So Iran needs Pakistani support because in the guise of attacking on Iran, I think that there may be misadventure of Israel towards Pakistan as well, and India can take disadvantage as well. So Pakistan's support for Iran is very vital to keep this war limited to a few attacks and counterattacks. Otherwise, it may escalate.
Right, fair enough. Thank you, Dr. Amna. Daniel, overall, of course, the way that Iran has responded, do you see, you said earlier on that you see this perhaps, this might end in there being some kind of a stalemate between Iran and Israel. Do you agree with that?
For the time being, yes, but see, we have to look at the larger conflict. The larger conflict is like these two individuals that I just mentioned, the Prime Minister of Israel and the Prime Minister of India. See, there was this mentality, there was this narrative that was built against Muslims around 2 decades ago. They were labeled to be terrorists or fundamentalists or people who don't believe in coexistence, and Pakistan was labeled as being perpetrator of terrorism globally. Whereas the reality is that we gave more than 90,000 lives against the war on terror. More than 90,000 people embraced Shahadat in restoring law and order in Pakistan and curtailing and the terrorists. See, now when that mentality or that narrative, when it lost its ground, when people realized, see, ultimately the truth comes out and it prevails. So when the world, everyone globally, they realize that terrorism has nothing to do with religion. So the new now, but India still, like I said, mentioned earlier once in your program, that they're always a day late and a dollar short. They tried selling that same narrative of blaming Muslims or blaming Pakistan for something that Pakistan has not done. Basically, it's a game of perception. So this time, I don't think that Israel or India will be able to keep up that perception much longer. See, even within Israel, there have been so many protests against the massacre that's occurred in Palestine. Within the United States, there have been so many protests. 18% of there's an 18% of the total population of Israel is Muslims. There are more than 400 mosques. See, even within the reason why I call these two leaders and a few of their supporters and followers narcissists, because the majority cannot be not have empathy at all. So ultimately, this narrative that they're selling, it's going to miserably fail. It's just a matter of time. Pakistan, the way Pakistan exposed India, Iran also needs to now engage with the global community. Earlier, Iran was, for a very long time, they were under sanctions, and they too had a very firm stance on how they want to run their affairs. But now I see that Iran has also realized that they have to become part of the global community to move forward. So I personally think that this fundamentalist agenda that Israel is trying to impose on the world, very soon it's going to get exposed and things are going to get back.
But do you think it's about, let me go to Ambassador Saab. Ambassador, do you think that a person like Netanyahu is concerned about the image he presents to the world? Because he seems to have flouted any kind of regard for how he's perceived in the world.
Well, he wants to be looked at as the most powerful person of the most powerful country in the region, and obviously he has a support of United States, and that's why you see all the warships around, and all the bases are in support of Israel in particular. So obviously he would feel quite strengthened, and then that strength is drawn from infrastructure which is prevalent in the United States and some other country, where the Israeli lobby, and there is a famous book on it in which a professor of United States, Chicago, teaching in Chicago, and a very famous professor of the political science, he has mentioned how Israeli lobby is prevailing on the decision making of the Congress or even the State Department and Pentagon. So, and mostly they take their guidance and other directions from Israel, and the Prime Minister of Israel, he knows about it, that what strength he has in United States. Today, Bernie Sanders, he made a statement in the morning, and he was quite critical. Bernie Sanders is a very important senator, important person, important congressperson, and he was also the presidential candidate. So he said, well, Israel has done a total illegal attack, and that could not be tolerated, and the U.S. People should not bear the brunt of it.
Are you saying, Ambassador Saab, that within the U.S. Political ranks there is a division on Israel?
No, but those divisions are not really that effective as compared to those people who are in the government, and any government for that matter. Israeli lobby, they have a mechanism before the election, during the election, post-election, how to really have that influence consistently on all these congressmen and all these officials. And they, in fact, take an undertaking. Those Congress people who are the candidate, they sign an undertaking if they want to have the support of the Israeli lobby and the funding. And if they want to, most of them, they depend on that lobby for the funding and as well as the votes. So from that standpoint, that's why you'll find that
So from that standpoint,
probably
you're saying
never.
that stance on Israel will remain largely unchanged, and America or the US, as we see today, will
And
continue to stand behind Netanyahu.
That's why the leaders in United States and the leaders in Israel, they say Israel is United States and United States is Israel, and they have proved it. Now, I can give you the example of just last week. What happened in the Security Council once the 14 members out of 15, they moved a resolution that in Gaza, the humanitarian aid should be opened and the pause or the ceasefire for the time being should be at least temporary ceasefire. That was vetoed by United States. And then prior to that, there was a motion in the General Assembly. 141 countries, they were in favor. Only 12 countries opposed, of course, including United States. So if we see all the four resolutions which were vetoed, and that was related to the humanitarian aid and the ceasefire, Gaza, in the face of the genocide, which is accepted by the International Criminal Court and the world community. But it was vetoed, and vetoed by the strongest supporter of the Israel, and that is United States. So that is a proven factor. But now we are more, or your viewer are perhaps more interested in knowing the unfolding situation and the developing story of Iran, and Israel. Now, Iran seems to have a resolve to continue till the time Israel doesn't stop striking. Israel has been really making plans for the last several years that they should get a chance to attack the facilities, the nuclear facilities. They did that, and therefore they have partially damaged it. And according to IAEA, there is a contamination in the local area. Thank goodness that there is no radiation leakage. The damage is not to that extent. But they have tried to strike the other four. There are five facilities declared. But as per the IAEA recent the board meeting outcome, that the Iran, after 20 years, they say Iran is non-compliant on the IAEA the parameters. And then that started giving the reasons and the grounds to the United States and the Israel that they could attack, and perhaps that's what they're going to give the argument now once the final resolution is being passed in the Security Council. But then Security Council resolution doesn't matter for Israel. The IAEA, the International Criminal Court doesn't matter for Israel. But then all these things has piled up so much that people and those proxies who definitely had suffered a lot, the Hamas, Hezbollah, the militia in Iraq, the militia in Syria, that was planned in such a way, strategized in such a way by Israel and United States that they should be neutralized. And then they found that it's the right and opportune time to strike Iran. But Iran has proved it otherwise. What is going to happen now? One can only analyze, and the unfolding situation would then suggest what is the scenario of the war theater, that these proxies would definitely start giving and putting up the resistance. And then the Gulf countries are the other 57 countries of OIC. They were totally dormant once the genocide was taking place, only condemnation and over condemnation and again condemnation, nothing else. Imagine the 57 countries bloc, that is OIC, which is meant for these purposes, that any member which comes under such aggression against the international law, the other members should take care of that. But not even the meeting has been called under the Article 9, in which the head of the state's extraordinary session could have been called for this purpose. The entire region is really quite apprehensive as to what is going to happen. The gold prices are going high, the oil prices are going high, And then if it's escalate, then it's going to really cause a lot of difficulties to the entire world. We have not been able to sustain the Ukraine impact.
Right. Thank you, Ambassador Saab. I'm going to Dr. Amna. Dr. Amna, overall, what about the nuclear arsenal as far as Iran's nuclear program is concerned, the dispute? And on that, the issue, of course, that Iran maintains its nuclear program is civilian and not weapons oriented. There's a lot of there's a lot of dispute surrounding that also, right?
Yes, I think that it was actually the pretext of this preemptive war that Iran is going to be nuclear, and there are a number of reports that they have done 60% capability to make 6 to 9 bomb actually, and that Israel was considering itself a threat for Israeli survival and existence. I think that that program is still sustained, though it is under IAEA, but at the same time, I think that Israel and US will never allow any of the Middle Eastern states to go nuclear in any case, as you have seen Libya, Iraq, and number of other even Iran was attacked. Iran nuclear program was attacked earlier. So I think that Iran has developed a nuclear capability, and they are still sustaining it, and it is not destroyed yet. And that would be actually the matter of deterrence if they would declare that they are nuclear power. Nuclear power use is not an option in any case, but it is a matter of deterrence, and it would provide Iran a deterrence against the further escalation of war. Otherwise, Iran is the only country here, as Ambassador Saab mentioned, that all of the 57 Muslim countries are just giving lip service. And in the coming days, I think that this lip service would go down even. And as Mr. Trump called to, Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia and UAE and Qatar rulers, and he will.
Now, there's also, of course, and one has to be cognizant of, how the world reacts to this conflict overall. We've seen what's happened as far as Palestine and Israel is concerned, and the reaction of the world, the reaction of the UN, the reaction of, organizations that could have made a difference. I know that there is the situation as it's developing. We'll be talking more about that after a short break, and what Iran we perceive is likely to happen in the next couple of weeks. Please stay with us.